Hello and welcome. My name is Mendy,
And I'm True.
and welcome to Shield's Rest. We're a group of friends that are in the military who are bound by our love of tabletop role playing games, and our job here is to explore possible options on how to play the character you've always wanted to play in any TTRPG that you wish. Today, we both made a ranger in the new Daggerheart TTRPG by Darrington Press, and we'll be going level by level, explaining each of our builds and why we chose them. If you like this video, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel, where we'll be creating many more of these videos with various different games. Additionally, if you are at all interested in Daggerheart, we have a Session 0 out on our channel right now, where True is actually leading us through his continent of Toldiv, where you'll see a lot of, fun things that are going to happen. But if you wanted to see Session 0 and kind of how to start a character from literally ground up, True's not even letting us pick our class yet, go check out that video right now. It's really, really solid. But without further ado, True, you want to tell us about your ranger today?
I went with a concept that I feel is as old as D&D itself, because let's face it, Dritz was an absolute favorite of mine, and so I kind of based it off of that. So I did go two weapons here, a long sword and short sword. I went with elf, so I felt like I had to go with elf, but I also wanted it because I wanted that reaction rolls, the advantage on reaction rolls. I wanted Wildborn, so that way I could move stealthily as well. So I took Wildborn to go with it. Um, so yeah, I wanted to get all that going on. Those were my first two picks before I even looked at level one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So had to do that. My agility's the highest, so it's the +2. I did take knowledge +1. There's a reason for that a little bit later, and then obviously an instinct +1. I feel like you kind of have to have a plus in your instinct to some degree. I did take my minus in strength, and then just kept my zeros in presence and finesse. So that was kind of the loadout to start with, the build to start with. Um, the idea is that this is going to be an evasion sort of build for this ranger.
Okay.
I wanted to leverage that evasion as much as possible. So to that end, I did take Gambison. I wanted to get that +1, so had to. However, for level 1, I did take Wayfinder for the subclass. I felt like that was going to be the most advantageous for the build that I have. However, you could probably take Beastbound and really take this the Dritz direction with having that Panther to go with you, it's a cool build, But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go Dritz here. I'm going to do a little bit similar, but not exactly. So I wanted that Apex Predator to be able to basically Marcus Stress and increase my proficiency to +1. And then any additional, basically, if I deal severe damage to that creature, they also mark a stress, which is kind of great. Also, path forward, that's just great from a narrative perspective as well as utility. So can't go wrong with that. But yeah, so increasing the proficiency at level 1 is pretty good, to where you're doing basically 2d8 with your longsword. So can't say no to that. I did take Untouchable. Again, evasion build, you kind of have to.
Yep.
So this is allowing me to basically add in half of my agility score, rounded up, mind you, into my evasion score. And I'll let you know now, we start at 10 for evasion, but by the end of this, by level 10, I have a 17 for my evasion score.
That's kind of what I figured. And that's what I love about the Ranger. I mean, that's a big driving home point. A lot of stress, a lot of evasion.
A lot of stress and a lot of evasion, which that's another thing you're going to see is the evasion side, or the stress side. You have to build that. In order to do half the stuff you want to here, stress has got to be your bread and butter. And to the stress end, I also took I See It Coming. I wanted to add in, for a stress, a D4 into my evasion score. So, but that's for anything beyond melee range that's coming at me.
No,
so
for sure, true. And I love the little Dristo word and call out there. I mean,
had to,
a lot of the kids nowadays don't know about Dritz.
It's okay. They're good books. If you guys have not read those, for the love of goodness, go read those books. They're so good.
Even if you're just like starting out in D&D and like you're playing a Forgotten Realms campaign for the very first time, it is a great resource to actually use for D&D. Not only is it a good fantasy novel, well, novels plural times a million because there's so many of them, But
Okay.
if you want to get a good idea of like what the Forgotten Realms are, if you're playing, Rise of Tiamat, if you're playing like Icewind Dale or something, go check out those books. You can get a little bit more familiar. But
Absolutely.
anyway, off of my tangent.
Yeah. Well, that's my level 1. So, that's the concept. That's the level 1. What did you end up taking? What was the route you took here?
So I was sitting there, True, and you know how I have like the GM DM mindset, and I wanted to play a character that is just the absolutely most annoying asshole to fight against. So I also kind of went like I kind of went an evasion route as well, but
Okay.
I went ranged because paying back to my homage, the very first character I ever played in my entire life in TTRPGs was a ranged ranger, and I kind of want to pay homage. The only difference here, though, is that my character all those years ago was not a monkey. I chose a Sema as my class strictly for like its like the climbing feature. I mean, I really like the Sema right now. I mean, you're a natural climber, and then you raise your evasion by 1 at character creation. It doesn't hurt to have that evasion, especially if you're
Yes.
a ranger.
Oh yeah, and if you're gonna min-max this baby, especially on the evasion side, even though I took Elf because let's face it, Dritz,
Yeah,
Simia is about as good as you can get here for being able to really get to probably an 18 with your evasion if you took all the right cards here.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I don't know if I maxed it out quite that much. I'll have to double check in the in the post show. But for my ancestry, I went Ridgeborn just because I kind of wanted to keep that like ranger vibe still here. I mean,
yeah,
I live in a mountainous state. I like a campaign with mountains, so
who doesn't?
I mean, it gives you advantage on rolls to traverse cliffs and ledges, which I mean you're gonna need, and you also get an armor slot at character creation, which might be the
Can be
reason I
pretty
picked
crucial.
it. Yeah,
Can be very crucial.
but
So I love that.
yeah, True. For here, I also went Wayfinder. I really liked Wayfinder here. That Apex Predator is just pretty sick. But I also like Path Forward. For all the same reasons that you just explained. But as far as my traits go, I'm making an agility-based character here. So I went and put that +2 into agility. I did a 1 in finesse, 1 in instinct, and then I dumped presence because my guy's just been, living in the woods by himself for a while.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. True, I also took the Gambus and armor with you. And then for inventory, this is a little bit important for this character, or for starting weapons. I took a longbow.
Yeah.
This is going to be my primary weapon of choice here. Secondary, I picked up a short sword just to have in case things like go in, but longbow is what we're going to be using 95% of the time here.
Hell yeah.
As for domain deck cards, what everyone is tuned in for, I also took Untouchable with you.
Nice.
Just rounding it, like getting that evasion up and up and up, you're gonna become virtually unhittable. Especially like early levels, if you kind of take a build like I did, you go Sema, and then you go like Ridgeborn, and then you go Untouchable. You're pretty hard to hit right out the gate, which is what I like about this character, and it keeps stacking on. But for my second one, True, I took Deft Maneuvers.
Yeah.
I like Deft Maneuvers for a ranged character because oftentimes you're going to have to be fighting for position, trying to get to where you can get like a clear shot. I mean, maybe like someplace you can get advantage, and just to dump a stress to move anywhere within far range without having to make a roll to get there is pretty big. You're flying around like the battle map at this level.
Absolutely. I'm actually surprised you didn't take Vicious Entangle or even like Gifted Tracker, which I was also tempted to take Gifted Tracker and Vicious Entangle.
Yeah.
A lot of those are just so flavorful with the Ranger, not only the Druid but also the Ranger here. I was kind of surprised you didn't go that route, especially with your Ranger build.
Yeah. I thought about it.
With your ranged Ranger build.
With the range build. I was kind of thinking this like as an actual like bow wielder in this aspect. Like you're going to want to be able to fly around the field to set up like the shot that you want. And you'll see that kind of further on where like the 2 domain deck cards, or the 2 domains here, Sage and Bone, I will say it's not a perfect marriage between the two. Like they're pretty different. So you have to kind of pick and choose what you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good class though. I love what they did with the Ranger. But
Yeah.
with all that out of the way, True, what'd you do at level 2?
Yo, level 2. I did take Conjure Swarm
Okay.
because I have no range aspect to my Ranger.
Yeah.
I wanted to grab something outside of an actual weapon, something that I can essentially conjure out of nowhere, especially for basically being able to make a spellcast roll with the Fireflies. I wanted to be able to utilize that, at least to some degree, to be able to get a little bit of range damage going on here.
I love Conjure Swarm. It's
Such a
so
good one. Oh my gosh. I love it to
I
death.
think I picked it in both the Druid builds. I love Conjure Swarm. I can't stay away from it.
Well, because it has the protection aspect to it as well as the range aspect. Now, although the range is close range, that's still further enough away from for my liking that because I'm going to be that ranged aspect or that upfront kind of character, a small amount of range is better than none right now for me. And then being able to have get the what do you call it, the beetles going and get that resistance to damage, I can't say no to that.
Yeah.
So I did take that. I did also take my trait increases.
Yep.
Again, this is me finally getting back into taking the trait increases whenever I can because my agility +3 and my knowledge +2 are crucial to this build. Now, and again, I go on evasion here, so I have to get my evasion +1 right from the get-go here at level 2. So
yeah, no,
yeah,
for sure. I love it. True for my domain deck card at level 2. I see it coming. I stayed away from Conjure Swarm because I'm gonna be out of the fight. Like I'm gonna be out of the fight most of the time. I'm gonna do everything in my power to not be like up front and with our Elven Dritz knockoff here, who I love so far. But
the wannabe.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that to you guys. I'm gonna be just sitting in the back. As we mentioned before, Rangers are the most stressed out builds, like stressed out class that there is in the system right now. They rely heavily on expending stress slots. But here's one where you expend a stress and you roll a 1d4 and increase your evasion against any attack by that. I like that at level 1. It could help you at level 10. It could be a card that you keep in your loadout for the long haul. I like that card.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. I was
well that and for you being ranged, you're going to be attacked by ranged attackers as well.
Exactly.
Like they're going to eventually see you and they're going to try and take you out because why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So that gives you a little bit of protection from them being able to at least hit you.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
No, for sure.
So nice one.
What I did too, I also increased my traits. I got that agility to a 3, and then I like how you're going the knowledge route. I'm going the instinct route here. I just feel more on par with Ranger, so I'm going to be pretty agile and instinctual. So got the agility to 3, got the instinct to 2, and then I picked up a stress slot because of the card that I just described 2 seconds ago. You're going to want to add some stress slots.
Absolutely.
But I think that's all for my level 2, True. Let's move on to level 3.
Yeah, so level 3, this is where it starts to come together for my particular build. So I did take a health point slot here as well as a stress slot because I took strategic approach. Yeah, I went back to level 2 to grab strategic approach because I wanted to be able to essentially have those tokens equivalent to my knowledge skill sitting there ready to go.
And that's why you're going the knowledge route. Yeah,
exactly. That's the synergy effect right now starting to come through. So I can now make an attack at advantage. I can then clear stress on any of my allies that are within within melee range with the adversary that I'm in melee range with.
Yeah.
Or, and this is probably the best part about this, is I can add 1d8 to my damage. So not only am I rolling 2 deep right now in proficiency, so 2 damage dice, but I can add the 1d8 if I so choose just by spending that token. Of course, I'm absolutely going to do that. So
I love.
Yeah, that's my level 3 though.
I love it. All right, Drew. I'm going a little off the rails here on level 3 because it sounded cool to me. So
okay.
as I said, I'm going longbow here, and that's going to be what I'm going to be using for the majority of this build. I'm not going to be casting many spells. I'm mainly
Mhm.
going to be relying on martial weapons, that being a ranged weapon of some sort. Now, later on, we'll probably get more powerful weapons. It'll be cool. For my domain deck card, I picked Towering Stalk. Okay?
What?
I picked Towering Stalk with.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's like the worst druid spell to take.
It might be the worst spell, but hear me out.
I'll hear you out. Go ahead.
Conjure a stock that can grow up to far range. If you're out in the middle of like, say you're in a very like barren wasteland, and you need to get the like a height advantage on firing your weapon. I'm a Sema. I have climbing proficient. Like I can climb very well. I can just start like pulling stalks out of the ground, climbing them, shooting them, and I can use it for a weapon as well. That deals like a D8 of physical damage, adding my proficiency. I picture this Sema just growing like large stalks in the ground, climbing them up, shooting off, and then getting out of dodge. I love this idea.
I feel like they made this particular card for the ranger. They did not have a druid in mind this entire time. They're like, ranger.
Yeah, it can be easily climbed. Imagine how easily climbed it is for like a Sema. You could fly up that thing. And I mean, depending on how your GM, runs it, sometimes height can like an overview can give you like a boost to the roll or something like that. You never know. Let's talk with you and your GM though.
I laugh at this, but you're not wrong. Like, this is as good as you can do when it comes to a ranged attacker.
Yeah.
You want to take Towering Stalk for sure.
Yeah.
It's a great card for a ranged individual. Anybody else, it's a waste of time. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
But for a ranged attacker, absolutely. You're not wrong. I laugh at it every single time I see it, though. I'm just like, oh my.
It's such a ridiculous card, and I think that's the only time I will ever take it in like this campaign, because it truly is. It's not a good card. Don't let me try to like fool you into thinking it's a good card. It can be good in certain situations. That being a ranged character who just happens to be able to climb things very easily. Thank you for bearing with me there. I don't know, that's a lot. For my level up options, though, I went ahead and just picked up an HP slot, and then I added an armor slot. There wasn't anything else I really needed to do at this point. I could have chosen another domain card, but I think I'm set and fine where I'm at. So I did armor and HP, but that's my 3.
And honestly, to grab an additional domain card at 3rd level is probably not as advantageous as it would be actually at level 4.
Okay.
So, getting into level 4 here, I did actually take an additional domain card here.
Did you? Okay.
Felt the need to. So first off, I increased my armor slot by 1. I figure I'm probably going to get better armor, but I want to have that extra slot going on, especially early on, that I can pull upon throughout the rest of this campaign, basically, for whatever, however long we're doing this for. So I did take that. I also took Healing Field as my main domain card here.
I was wondering if you'd pick that up, yeah.
I felt like to me, it makes the most sense, especially as a ranger. You're probably going to be the main person in the party to go off by yourself to go do different things. And you want to be able to heal yourself if you get into trouble.
Yeah.
Especially after you get out of an encounter. Like, if you just survived it, you want to make sure that you're at least going to be able to heal some of the hit points until you can get back to safety or back to the rest of the crew. So that was a main take for me. And then the additional one that I took was Redirect.
Okay.
Because I figure I'm going to be dealing with a lot of ranged individuals trying to take me down as quickly as possible. Yeah. So as long as I can successfully evade that attack, I should be able to hopefully direct that back towards them.
Yeah. And like
now,
a 1d6 landing on 6, that's not the most uncommon thing on the planet. Like, that's going to happen more often than you think.
And that's the thing, is like, if I realize that I'm not going to be using it that often, I don't have to have it in the loadout. Yeah. I can put it into the vault, call it a day, leave Healing Field in the loadout, and just be happy with that. But if I know I'm going to be dealing with a bunch of ranged attackers, redirect is what I'm gonna want here. So, but yeah, that's the level 4 build right there for me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. True. I went ahead and picked up a evasion increase. Just gotta grab it. And then
Absolutely.
I actually increased my major threshold here. I thought about going domain deck card again because like there are some pretty good domain deck cards in both of these builds, but I'm trying to play it the way that I would play it in real life. So I just did the major threshold. I just did the evasion just to add some survivability. Because if I go down, we got no ranged, and then anything that flies can probably take out the entire party. And because of that, True, I followed your lead here. I took redirect. It's one of those cards I wasn't too in love with all of the level 4 domain deck cards, except for Healing Field. I think I've taken it in every druid build that we've done so far. It's a great card,
it's a compulsory buy for any druid. Like you almost feel like you have to.
Yeah.
So
but with this character, I didn't feel like I had to, so I went ahead and just picked up redirect, which, like I said, I mean, rolling a 1d6, I mean, you're gonna hit that 6 more often than you think. So it's a good way to deal some bounce back damage to your enemy without really having to do much.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I liked it, but that was my level 4, and that moves us to level 5. Let's see if he increased his traits.
I did. I'm back to my old ways. I'm taking them as soon as I can.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
So to start off with, trait increase, agility +4 now, knowledge +3. So that's 3 tokens I get from my strategic approach, and then that's now +2 to my evasion because of my agility.
Yep.
So now I took one that I felt like I absolutely had to, because let's face it, if I'm going to be up front, I'm going to want to deal some damage back if I get dealt damage. So Thorn Skin was a must for me.
That's a great one.
There's some great moves here within the Bone deck between Signature Move and Know Thy Enemy. Like, you can't go wrong with those.
No, you can't.
Nothing's wrong with taking those. But if you're going to be up front, Thorn Skin is pretty much a must. So definitely had to go with that. And then I took Wayfinder specialization. So had to do that. Which we kind of glossed over this, and we need to go back to that real quick. Rangers have their class ability of Ranger's Focus, and essentially it's when you attack an enemy and you're successful on it and you spend a hope, you can then apply Ranger's Focus to that individual and you get certain benefits, which we'll of course have listed on the screen here. But now with Wayfinder specialization, when you are attacked by your focus, meaning your Ranger's focused target, your evasion against the attack increases by +2.
Yep.
Super killer. Absolutely love that. That's going to be you just dipping and dodging all day long. You're going to be practicing those 5Ds of dodging attack. So, have to do it. But that's my level 5, man.
Yeah, true. I also increased my traits here, and I think we've already talked on it. I'm going the agility instinct route. You're going the agility knowledge route. So I went ahead and got that agility to a 4, and then that instinct to a 3. I also took my specialization and my subclass Wayfinder. We're gonna be using focused all the time with this build. It's for those of you that play D&D, it's basically like better
Hunter's Mark.
Better Hunter's Mark, yeah. It's very good, and they centered an entire subclass around it, which I respect.
Yeah.
Domain deck cards, True. I took Signature Move. I love Signature Move, and I just love the flavor for it, and also use a 1d20 instead of your d12 as a hope dice.
Absolutely. The flavor for this is so good. I mean, as far as like role playing is concerned, talk about it, making sure that you get some role play in there, that you at least come up with something for your character. Yep. So if you weren't thinking about it before, now you kind of are, and getting that d20 instead of the d12 for your hope dice.
Oh, it's great. And I was excellent. I kind of built this character like backwards in a way.
Did you?
Because I saw Signature Move before I saw Towering Stock, and I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, what a combo! What if that is my combo? Like Towering Stock, like I hang from my tail upside down, I shoot someone between their eyes with a d20 as my hope. Done.
Yo, I love that.
You know what I mean? I truly fell in love with this character. So
Nice.
You might
That-
see me breaking this one out eventually.
That's a brilliant idea. I love that. Good signature move.
Yeah, I love it. All right, that brings us to level 6.
Yeah, level 6. So I did increase my evasion
Okay.
+1 here. Finally did that. I also increased my proficiency +1.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting at a nice +4 for proficiency. So main reason for that is because I'm going to be doing damage this entire time. Like my entire focus is going to be damage. So if I'm able to do those 4d8, that's going to be really killer. And that's just baseline weaponry. That's assuming I don't find anything better at this point. And then I took rapid riposte.
Okay.
So I wanted to be able to basically use that stress to automatically deal damage from an active weapon. And if that's 4d8 for my active weapon, that's incredible. That's me successfully evading, which I'm most likely going to be doing, particularly at 6th level here, with the way my evasion's kind of built here, with everything else that I have basically stacked on top. The rapid riposte is going to be something I'm going to be pouring a lot of my stress into. Now this is going to be one of those builds that you really hope that you got a druid or a seraph nearby that can help clear a lot of this stress.
Yeah, maybe a bard. Like you need.
Yeah, bard. Literally, a bard is going to be perfect, and you need them like on your back. Get a halfling, stick them on your back so they can just keep clearing your stress. Because holy crap, this is going to be insane. Yeah, it's going to be 21 pilots. You are going to be stressed. Really so, anywho, what did you do at level 6?
More of the same, kind of. What I did do, I'm kind of like a level behind you, which you'll see. On level 6, I took an HP and a stress slot, just to bump those up. I grab them whenever I grab them whenever I see them, pretty much. So I wanted to grab HP and stress. Proficiency will come back later, and evasion will come back later. For domain deck cards, I also picked rapid riposte. It seemed like the best option. I liked forager here, kind of like as for like some flavor and some utility for this character. But if I'm going to actually optimize this character, it's going to be that rapid riposte card.
Well, and especially for when you get into melee range, like if you have to deal with the melee attack, hopefully you can at least do some sort of damage with whatever weapon you do have that is your melee at that point. It's a good kind of back pocket situation because you can spend 0 stress here to pull it out of your vault if you so chose to. Like if you know you need it, 0 stress to swap it out. Done. So.
And it's one of those things, Drew, like you and I have both played enough range characters in our day. You know you're always going to get into the fray. It's always going to happen. The GM is going to bring the fight to you. You're going to be in melee range. It's unrealistic to think you are going to be out of the fight the entire fight. It just never happens that way. But yeah, good level 6. Pretty similar, but I like. Let's knock out level 7, Drew. What'd you do?
Yeah, level 7. So first thing to start off with will be the health increase and the stress slot increase. That's an absolute must for sure. I may not be taking it as soon as you are, but it comes around eventually. And then I took Bone Touched.
Okay, you did go Bone Touched.
Again, it's another one that I felt like I absolutely had to, because not only does it increase my agility +1, this is how I'm getting to agility +6, mind you, towards the end of this build. So, and then I also get to basically once per short rest take an action take an action in combat without adding to the action tracker. So I'm not adding to what the GM can do, basically, which is all too crucial when you want to be able to knock out a bunch of enemies quickly without them immediately responding and decimating you. So, Bone Touch was a must for my particular build. So yeah.
I love it. And like you see how we kind of went back and forth. You picked up the HP and stress. At level 7, I pick up the increased proficiency. Wanted to go ahead and go back and grab that. For my domain deck card, True, it was one of those things where I was like, I'm torn between Bone Touched and Cruel Precision. And
such a good card.
And at the end of the day, I had to go Cruel Precision. I mean, our agility is already at a 4 at this point, so that's just 4 extra damage on attacks. Like, it's gonna be something. I just couldn't not pick this card, and it's one of the few times you'll see me not go with the touched domain deck card. But this one at level 7, man, Cruel Precision was so good, so I had to go that card.
Well, and especially with the ranged, and you're doing agility already as is, and then you're just adding the trait value on top for the damage. Like, you're going to be hitting pretty much severe damage almost every time, if not pretty close to the mark, and getting that major damage no problem. Exactly. So, I can't see you not getting at least a good solid major damage every single time and getting those 2 hit points off of every single adversary.
Exactly. And next level, that 4 goes to a 5. So what did you do at 8?
Yeah, exactly right. 4 goes to a 5. Well, for me, it's 5 goes to a 6, brother. So now I have +3 to my evasion because of that. Because let's face it, I'm going to maintain untouchable throughout this entire build. That's not going anywhere. And my knowledge goes to +4. So agility +6, knowledge +4. I also took an increased stress slot here. Got to get that going on. And then I took Breaking Blow. Okay. Because when I hit, I want to hit. Yeah. I want it to be unfortunate for whoever's on the receiving end of this attack. So I don't mind, especially if I have the stress, particularly if I have the stress to utilize. I do not mind spending that stress to add in another 2d12 on top of another weapon attack that I already successfully attacked against. Like, what in the world? So I thought it was too good of a card, and I love it because it's a great level 8 card. I think it's a perfect level 8 card. I was torn between that and Wrangle, because I love the flavor of Wrangle, because let's face it, if I'm going to be in amongst everybody anyway, and I can arrange them however I want, I can move some people out of the way if I so choose. But Breaking Blow was going to be was probably the premier card at level 8 for me. So
no, absolutely. And yeah, level 8 true. I mean, this is the big level. This is like that last tier of levels that you're gonna hit. So I went ahead and increased my trace, got that agility to a 5, that instinct to a 4. But now is when we become our GM's most problematic player. It's taken some time to get here, but we've arrived. And that happens by upgrading your subclass into Wayfinder.
There you go.
Now, before you make an attack roll against your focus, you can spend a hope. If that roll succeeds, you remove a fear from your GM's fear pool. That is game-changing. Because you got to think, during a combat, sure, you could stack up, you can steal all of the fear away from your GM, because you're going to be hitting these attacks. You have ways to grant advantage. You have ways to ensure you're going to hit this creature, and just taking away fear from the GM's fear pool is so strong.
It's going to drain them real quick, for sure. Now, you may, of course, be adding to the action tracker, but if you can drain them of the fear that they have to utilize to do more abilities and such for the adversaries that they levy against you, that's a big deal. You're essentially crippling your GM real fast by doing this. So.
Yeah, no, I love the subclass. I love the Wayfinder subclass. I thought it was very, very nicely written. Great job, Matt.
Absolutely.
But for domain deck cards, True, I also went Breaking Blow. This was the best one at level 8, as we both decided on. 2d12 damage is a lot of damage, man. But yeah, for all the same reasons that True just explained, Breaking Blow, it was the card to take here, especially for both of our characters. It makes a lot of sense. But moving on to the last 2 levels, True, what'd you do at level 9?
Level 9, I had to grab that evasion. Had to grab that evasion +1 and that proficiency +1. Yeah. So that's when I finally hit evasion 17 here.
That's absurd.
Absurd. Yeah, I love it so much. And then proficiency is +6 now after everything. So it's a lot of damage to be dealing for sure. And then I took On the Brink. Okay. So this is one of those kind of just in case moments. When you have 1 hit point remaining, any damage below your major threshold is ignored.
Okay. No, I see it. I like it.
So this is me trying to be able to use my armor to bring down those attacks below my major, so that way I'm just ignoring it. Now I'm not trying to reach below my major. Now I'm below my minor. Now I'm trying to reach below the major, and that's it.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like that's not bad. Now there's a few in here that I was really wanting to take, but as far as survivability is concerned, and especially with the fact that I'm going to be dealing with higher level enemies, and let's face it, I have not really taken any sort of major or severe hit point increases.
Yeah.
I needed something, and I felt like this was going to be the thing that gets you through a lot of those high, like very high level fights, that hopefully you can at least get a few of those attacks down below your major. So
Yeah.
that was the idea behind it.
For
So,
sure.
but that's my level 9.
No, I love it, True. For here, I also went ahead and added to my evasion. So I went ahead and picked up an extra 1 to my evasion here, and I added another stress slot because, as I said, we're gonna be stressed. But
Yeah.
True, this might be my favorite. This might be my favorite card in the entire deck that I was able to find here in this in the Bone Domain, and that's gonna be Splintering Strike.
Yeah.
I have been waiting for years for like a melee chain lightning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's never been that. They like the Barbarian has something where you can like, you know, carry like, I think it's called Trample in Magic the Gathering if you're a Magic the Gathering fan, where damage rolls over to the next person. Range fighters haven't had this, like those that carry the bow. So I had to grab Splintering Strike. I mean, you can divvy out the damage as you see fit, and if we're launching arrows, I just love the idea of like the spell flavorfully, and you know, as an actual like efficiency for it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's really
good. And it's a great minion killer too.
Absolutely.
Which
yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, and at level 9, you're still gonna be dealing with minions. They don't go away.
Yeah. More so than before. I mean, at this point, you're going to be dealing with more of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love Spirit. I love the entire Bone Domain here, but Splintering Strike was a cool card here. But I guess without further ado, True, let's enter Godhood here at level 10.
Level 10, man. Level 10. Let's go. So this was actually my favorite Bone deck card right here. So start off with stress, hit point, had to raise them.
Yeah.
There it is.
Level 10.
Now that the boring's out of the way.
Yeah.
Now that the boring's out of the way. Death Run.
Okay. You went Death Run.
Yo, Death Run is so good. It's basically your Splinter Strike on freaking crack.
Yeah.
Because now I'm spending 3 hope, yes. But through my entire pathway on the battlefield, I can make an attack roll, and basically against all enemies, and every single one within that range, basically you're just kind of running through them all. It is just insane the amount of damage that you end up dealing, because my proficiency goes up by 1 for the first one, and then slowly goes down from there. And I have a +6 proficiency currently.
I was gonna say.
So that's 7 enemies that I can just wreck.
Yeah. No.
With just absolute reckless abandon going through them like there's no tomorrow. And with a +6 with my agility and literally everything else that's aiding me in my ability to attack them, yeah, it's going to be crazy. So absolutely love that one. Even though you can't target the same creature, that's fine. This is obviously supposed to be a minion killer, so you know. But yeah, absolutely love that card. I thought that was a wonderfully flavored card. And I know I didn't say it sooner, but the art on the Bone deck card is I love the art. The idea of being like this, basically this dude in a wheelchair just going to town in the snow. I'm like, that's awesome.
I was gonna bring it up earlier. That's so funny that you mentioned that.
It's such a cool looking. I love the art. I love the concept behind that. Like, that's a character I want to see enter into a campaign. You know?
Absolutely.
But anywho, what'd you do for level 10? What's your god status, picks here?
Level 10, boring stuff. It's so funny. Level 10 is always the most boring level when it comes to your actual level up options, because there's nothing else you can really do but just grab like what you missed out on. I picked up an HP and stress slot. Boring, but you gotta have it.
Got it.
Domain deck cards. True. I took a long look at Death Run and I was like, I love this card so much, but it makes 0 sense for my character. I was like,
no, it makes no sense.
I was like, this card might be the best in the deck. It's just, I love the
flavor's good.
The flavor of it. It's beautiful, especially you with like 2 weapons kind of run. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, just slicing hacking and slashing, but it makes, like you said, no sense for you.
Yeah, zero.
What the hell did you go with?
I went with Serenity. It's still a great card.
Oh, it's a great card, but
It's very boring. Like my level 10 might be the most boring build you've ever seen, but Serenity, it's a great card, man. Especially like
oh man,
we're we're gonna be using up a lot of our stress. This is just a surefire, guaranteed way to clear it, right? And gain health if you have none. It's more so quality of life for this character, meaning like you can just keep going like that, like Captain America, I can do this all day type build.
Yeah,
that's what you're making here, where it doesn't matter how long this fight is, as long as you're like evading hits and not actually flatline. You got a healer, you could keep this build going all day.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a great card. It's just it feels so lackluster at level 10.
It feels so
It,
lackluster. Because
it feels like a level 9 or a level 8 sort of card, maybe even a level 7 at that point, but not a level 10. Like I feel like level 10 was probably that Splintering Strike should be at level 10, you know?
I agree. Especially when like True, if you could throw up Tempest on the video here, especially with this card available at level 10. Like,
yeah,
Tempest might be one of my favorite cards in the entire game right now. It's just a really cool, like, damage dealing spell cast. But I'm not really spell focused. It didn't make a lot of sense for my card. So I figured Serenity was the closest I could get to surely keeping my character's identity while helping me in the long run. What can I say to you that hasn't already been said? You did a great job.
Dude, awesome
character. I think we both made some pretty cool characters, which I think we say this at the end of every one of these videos, but like these two characters can coexist in the same campaign. I
feel like that's what I now look at this going forward is I look at what can I take that's going to complement and work well off of whatever you're going to create at this point.
Yeah.
And I was so glad you went ranged, but even if you didn't and you also went melee, we would just be killing them. I'm just saying you probably could run 2 rangers here.
Absolutely.
That have slightly different focuses that are still both melee or even melee ranged, maybe ranged and ranged. I can't see ranged and range really, working it out so well, but there's something to be said for a couple of like ranger assassins going around sniping people from all over the place, and everyone's freaking out like, where's that coming from kind of moment. But I now look at our builds as what am I going to build that's going to be different than what you're probably going to build, and how could those two really and truly successfully be in a party together. And I think that's exactly what we got here between my melee and your ranged. Like, I wouldn't want to meet these two on the battlefield.
I love it. And I mean, thank you all for watching. I mean, check out our other videos here, link below, where we've made different Daggerheart character builds. True, did you have any final words here to our lovely viewers?
This may only be open beta here that we've been doing these builds in. We're excited for when Daggerheart fully comes out, but go ahead and please check out our Session 0. Let us know what you think. We're going to be starting that campaign up in October. Basically the very first weekend in October. We're going to have that basically streamed onto our Twitch, so check us out on Twitch. But then we'll, of course, upload it a little bit later in the week onto YouTube here. So look for us there. Also, check out the Reddit for Daggerheart. Just a plug for them, because honestly, it's a great Reddit. Like, it's a helpful community, especially for whatever questions you have. And again, this is only open beta, and yet there is a whole community. Love the community that's centered around in Reddit. So absolutely love that. But aside from that, just a little free plug for us at this point. Go ahead and subscribe. Give this video a like. Give us a comment here. Tell us what you think of this build. It's free.
It's so free. It's the freest thing you'll ever do.
So hopefully we can help you make that broken build for your next campaign. And hopefully you can find, especially if you don't have people that are physically around you, hopefully you can find some folks through the Reddit that are searching for an actual campaign. So yeah, thanks y'all for stopping by and actually taking a look at this build.
We'll see you next time. We got more builds coming soon. We got my most excited project that we're working on, True's Daggerheart campaign, The Mist of Toldeth. I'm so excited. Please be on the lookout for that. Turn on notifications.
Fun.
But other than that, True, I got nothing else to say.
Well, fantastic. Yeah. So I guess until the next build.
Until the next build.
Later, y'all.